The battle begins. A score of Democrats vying for their party's presidential nomination on a national stage. Which, if any, surged ahead, and who stumbled out of the gate in Miami? At the nation's highest court, the controversial citizenship question pulled from the upcoming census. Will President Trump delay the count to make another try? And here at home, the Harris County DA's bid for more prosecutors rejected again. Is law and order as we know it under fire from the ultra-liberal majority on Commissioner's Court? I'm Greg Grugan, and welcome to What's Your Point, where our panelists call it like they see it. Let's greet them. Starting us off, legendary reporter, now investigative media consultant, Wayne Dolcefino. Next up, Michelle Leal, co-chair of the Latino Texas PAC.
Good morning.
In the three spot, Bob Price, associate editor of Breitbart, Texas. Batting cleanup, former Democratic congressional candidate, Laura Moser. Next up, Charles Blain, director of the advocacy group Urban Reform. And closing us out on the hot corner, writer, educator, and radio host, Antonio Diaz. With that, let's get going. It has begun. 2 days, 20 candidates, a national stage, more forum than debate, the Democratic presidential hopefuls, each aiming to gain credibility and stature among Americans willing to express their desire for change at the ballot box. One part ideological beauty pageant, one part courtship. What can be made of what transpired on that crowded stage in Miami? Did anyone emerge out of obscurity? Did anyone fumble hard enough to fold? Did any appear the equal of the last two Democratic presidents, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama? With that, I turn to Laura Moser. I know you watched it all.
I watched it all. I read it all. I tweeted it all. I'm excited. I think we have a lot of really great options. I think that, bring it on 2020.
Yeah.
I remain sort of, I'm kind of an Elizabeth Warren fan. That didn't really change. I thought your man, Julian Castro, was really strong, and I started fantasizing about a Warren-Castro combo.
Nice.
I thought the second night was a little more intense, a little more contentious. Vice President Biden needs to, I'm happy to say he dropped 10 points after what was a sort of fumbling performance. Obviously, Senator Kamala Harris was awesome. Still not my candidate, but I would love to see her on a debate stage against our brilliant commander-in-chief.
Okay, got to bring Tony in here. The big scuffle between Beto and Julian Castro. Castro seen as the winner. What was your take?
Oh, it was wonderful to see future President Julian Castro really come out fighting, and I think it was a standing A count. He gave Beto a standing A count because he took it to him. I want to see all the Democrats fighting hard, smart, and what I love to see is him really enunciate a stance on immigration that everyone's been following, and I think that's been key. The other thing I want to add too is there was a lot of Hispandering going on. I mean, I don't mind Hispandering, but I'd like a couple of things. One, take our candidates seriously. Finally, the media is taking Julian Castro seriously, and on top of it, we're not just the immigration issue. However, if we are going to be talking about immigration, I love it for a brilliant Chicano to be taking the lead on it. So Team Julian, but all the Democrats did great. I think we're going to get the best candidate rise out of this brilliant forum.
Michelle, did Julian come out of the pack in this debate? Is he going to be taken more seriously?
I think so. I would agree with Tony. I think you're starting to see him get a little bit more attention and be taken a little bit more seriously. I would also say, one thing that I noticed talking about the Hispandering, as Tony puts it, is, Senator Klobuchar was asked a question about black and brown communities, and in her response, her response didn't include any data points or anecdotal evidence at all about Latinos. And to me, that said, you're not thinking about us at all.
Okay, Charles Blain. Kamala Harris went after former Vice President Biden on the busing issue. Did she do some damage there?
I think so. You know, I watched it with a hawk eye because for the past 4 years, all they've talked about is collusion. So I was wondering where they're going to shift to and what they're actually going to start talking about. And I thought she did a really good job attacking him there. I mean, granted, my candidate wasn't on either of those stages, but I thought she did a really good job. And now all you hear for the past couple of days has been Joe Biden and his problematic history of, you know, voting against busing. The week before that, I think they were talking about how he, you know, came out strong against the Rave Act and all these things that, you know, black and brown communities and millennials would typically go for. I think they're kind of just pulling the ground up from underneath him. So yeah, I think she did a good job, and I'm excited to see what happens next. But Marianne Williamson, I think, was the standout candidate of the night, and she made sure that the Democrats are going to have a viewership going forward, so they better keep her on stage.
The power of love. Okay, Bob Price, you see anything on that stage that has conservatives shaking in their boots?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the Democratic National Comedy Show. I thought it was an incredible event. Actually, I agree with you about Castro, that he pretty much took Robert Francis O'Rourke to school and set him down. I don't think it was a standing 8 count. I think it was a knockout. I think that Beto is probably going to be heading south on this campaign trail pretty quickly. So he'll probably be one of the first ones to drop out. The issue of who did well, I thought Kamala Harris did an amazing job. Joe Biden, as you said, dropped 10 points after the match, but he still has a solid lead in the race. And that's because that's where the main block of the traditional Democratic Party sits. The rest of the wacko left is scattered among 19 other candidates. So it'll be interesting to see who can break out of that far left side.
Okay, Wayno, put a bow on this discussion. What was your impression?
Buenos dias, first of all.
Terrible accent.
Thank you. The Williamson lady, I got to tell you, I think we should conquer the world with love.
Yes.
I think that's I feel really special about this. You know, there were some real nutcases on that stage, but I got to tell you, I think the Democrats know they're in trouble, and I'll tell you why. Because Joe Biden is the logical person to go against Donald Trump, and Joe Biden is just done. He's just not in the game, and it's not going to get better. It's not because he's rusty. It's because, as I said a few weeks ago, he's older. I mean, it is what it is, right? Some people start to slow down, and some people don't, right? And I would also point out that the Kamala Harris discussion with Joe Biden about busing, right? And so I'll end this on a controversial note. You know, a lot of people at the time, and I remember my father talking about it, a lot of people at the time really didn't like busing, and they weren't all white that didn't like busing. A lot of black folk didn't like busing. So to me, to make busing some like we're gonna go back now to like 1879, how someone's grandma felt about something, I just think it's ridiculous. And raising your hand to say you're gonna give free health care to illegal immigrants, give me a break.
Wayne, defending Biden.